So are you a morning bird or a night owl? Have you found yourself making worse decisions later in the day than early at dawn? Or perhaps you wonder, does the time of day actually influence my choices? Now, this idea of being more morally sound in the morning, meaning we make better decisions at the start of the day compared to the night, is exactly what researchers have noted as the morning morality effect. And it's this effect that reveals the vulnerability of our morality or decision-making at large, depending on the time of day. But before I hop into this intriguing mystery, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel if you want to continue getting nuggets of gold that help boost your brain and behavior. As I mentioned, the morning morality effect is a psychological phenomenon which suggests our ability to make ethical decisions actually varies throughout the day. In other words, we're not always consistently sound throughout the entire day like we think. With several studies done on the topic, one study done by Mariam Kuchaki and Isaac Smith from the University of Utah discovered that we are more likely to make moral decisions in the morning than in the afternoon. In one of their experiments, Kuchaki and Smith asked participants to identify whether more dots were on the left or right side of the computer screen. The task seems rather straightforward, right? But there was a twist. Participants received more money for selecting the right side regardless of the actual dot count. This setup created a dilemma between honesty and financial gain. The results showed that the participants that were tested between 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. showed a higher tendency to answer honestly compared to those tested between 12 p.m. and 6 p.m., supporting the morning morality effect. Beyond this experiment, participants also were involved with another one that involved sending messages, where they could choose to send a truthful message for a smaller reward or a deceptive one for a large reward. And to no surprise, more deceptive messages were sent in the afternoon sessions versus those who sent truthful messages earlier in the day. So what made this finding so intriguing besides the obvious is that it puts into question the nature of our ethical judgment throughout the day. It makes us wonder whether morality is not a constant trait but rather a fluctuating state influenced by the body's internal biological clock. So if you've ever wondered why you are more susceptible to making worse decisions later in the day compared to in the morning, well, the research here indicates that the ethical behavior might be more malleable, susceptible for influence by external factors later in the day than previously thought. You might just be wondering, where does willpower come into this? Can I control this? Are we all just programmed to make morally sound decisions influenced by the time of day? Are we just slaves to our biological clock? Well, sure, yeah. We can definitely exert more willpower to behave and act differently. As we all know, willpower plays a crucial role in decision making. However, willpower is much like a muscle. Willpower can become fatigued as the day progresses, so as it wears down throughout the day from fatigue, our ability to resist that delicious but fattening cookie, for example, or indulge in some mindless doom scroll, all of that willpower wanes as the day wears on. The research mentioned earlier proposes that as our mental energy depletes over time, so does our moral resolve. This increase in willpower as the day advances could be why people tend to make more unethical choices in the afternoon or even more so at night. So what this implies is that our moral integrity, as strong as we think it might be, isn't purely dependent on our beliefs and values. Instead, there are other factors like the time of day, how long we've been awake for, and so on that are involved. It's not really fully up to us. Ultimately, our morality or sound decision-making is linked to the state of our mental resources. How much mental resources you use throughout the day, or how worn out your willpower is, this all really depends. So what all this shows you is that there is an importance of self-care and mental well-being in maintaining your ethical standards and your mental resources throughout the day. Just as we might perform poorly on physical tasks when tired, our moral decision-making ability also seems to falter when our energy or mental energy is low. The implications of the morning morality effect and a vulnerable willpower are worth noting, especially when it comes to our personal goals, as well as our professional and educational settings. Taking this into account, organizations need to reconsider, or even yourself just individually need to reconsider the timing of tasks requiring high ethical standards or sound decision-making. So for example, scheduling activities that demand integrity like financial reporting or some high-level decision-making are better to be done in the morning than at night. And on a personal level, these insights can serve as a more productive way to plan out your day. Understanding that your moral resolve or willpower will weaken as the day progresses means that you should schedule high-important must-do tasks involving greater decision-making in the morning, and then from crucial meetings to high-level activities. And then the research also highlights the importance of self-care and mental well-being in getting things done. So take note of that. So living in an age where we're constantly encouraged to hustle and grind nonstop, this morning morality effects shines light on the vulnerability or the reality of our vulnerability. When our mental energy is low or our resources are quite depleted, we are more likely to make irrational decisions, from buying that overly expensive clothing that we really don't need to eating that unhealthy meal we know is not so good for us. If we're trying to achieve some goal but find ourselves losing momentum as the day passes or even months, it could just be because we're pushing too hard till too late in the day. At the end of the day, all of this shows that when, not what, is what matters. A 2011 study done by Stress in America survey found that 27% of respondents noted that lack of willpower was one of the biggest barriers for achieving their goal. Second to that was the lack of time. So if this is the case, we need to really consider when we choose to do something instead of being obsessed with what we're doing. The morning morality effect and its findings break the traditional view of morality as a static trait. As mentioned earlier, it shows that your morality, or aka willpower, can be influenced and swayed by factors like time of day, mental fatigue. It's much more dynamic than static. Of course, there are other additional factors like individual differences, age, family life, etc. But as stated earlier, willpower is nothing more than a muscle, and as such, it means that like any other muscle in our body, we need to learn to train it and take care of it. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I do recommend checking out the next video where we talk about taking a nap and learning to take the right nap. And on top of that, make sure to like this video. It really helps this channel out, and make sure to subscribe to this channel so it can continue to help you mine the golden mind.